Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion about From Race to Value, Can Tokenization Drive Circular Economy? And this panel is hosted by Particula, and with Particula, we are building the first data platform and comparison tool for digitized assets on the intersection of sustainability and Web3. And starting from tokenizing carbon, we develop quality ratings and in-depth reports that especially focuses on regulatory compliance and security aspects. But of course, there are many other use cases out there besides carbon. And yeah, that's actually why we started this panel, because our goal is to shed a light on these different use cases, like circular economy, for instance. And yeah, we believe that education is key and crucial in terms of, develop the regenerative finance space. Yeah, I'm Nadine. I'm one of the three co-founders of Particula. I will be the moderator of this panel today. And maybe before we get into the topic, I will say we will start with a little introduction round. Maybe let's start with you, Susanna. What are you working on and why are you passionate about regenerative finance, especially in regard circular economy?
Hi, everyone. My name is Susanna Wilke, and I'm here representing ESG area. It's the startup UCL network. So I hope to help you to clarify some passion about blockchain, circular economy, tokens, and so on, and about sustainability, because this startup that I'm working with have a great project in circular economy. So shall I pass to another colleague, or shall I start talking about regenerative finance, ReFi?
Yeah, let's I would say Daniel, maybe you're next, and then when we are done, you can start like elaborating on ReFi a little bit more. So maybe Daniel.
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Daniel, co-founder and CTO of Plastics. What we do at Plastics, we are connecting plastic recovery projects with individuals and organizations who wants to sponsor plastic recovery. We are basically cleaning the environment out of plastics. Whatever we do at Plastics, we are recovering plastics.
A lot of plastic there.
A lot of plastic there.
So maybe Eric, you're on.
Yeah, no problem. Hey everyone, I'm Eric Vogel, so co-founder of Circular. Circular is a blockchain ecosystem that's focused on the tokenization of recycled commodities, so plastic, aluminum, and glass. We're actually starting in the plastic space as well, more specifically PET plastics, and tracking it from the point of collection all the way through the supply chain, and then rewarding users or incentivizing them with the utility token to get value out of the plastics that they recycle, to encourage the right consumer behavioral and organizational behavioral change.
Great, great. So I can already hear that you both have a little bit in common. So there's some plastic there and there. So it would be great to hear maybe later on where the differences are actually. Yeah, so maybe at first, let's start with ReFi and maybe also with my perspective on it. So when I came into the space, especially in ReFi, it started last year where I kind of did more and more research. And before I started research, I only knew or heard in media or in Web3 in general about tokenized carbon credits and that there is some movement, but that's it. And so when I started researching, then I also saw, okay, there's also social tokens, there's biodiversity, there are some companies focusing on measuring the actual impact and combining everything with blockchain. So maybe the first thing we should definitely talk about, what is actually regenerative finance? I mean, it's a really personal question. Everybody has a different opinion on that. But maybe Susanna, you can elaborate on it, what you understand under
Okay.
that, and yeah, why you're
So,
maybe passionate about that.
yes, ReFi, I think, is an approach to finance that seeks to create a more sustainable and equitable economy by supporting regenerative practice and systems. So the term regenerative, like in circular economy, refers to the idea of restoring and revitalizing natural systems and resources rather than simply sustaining them. Okay. And this is the core of the definition. So in the context of finance, ReFi seeks to create new economic models that promote sustainability, but also social justice, while also generating financial returns. Of course, we need to plan long-term and not in short-term, okay? And for investors, this is a big issue because they want money in short time, but we need to plan long time. So this might involve investing in businesses and projects that prioritize environmental and social sustainability, such as renewable energy. In our case, UCO Network, we are in this field with a project for new renewable energy. And also, regenerative agriculture is a big issue in ReFi, and also sustainable transportation. So these three areas are very important in ReFi. ReFi also emphasizes the importance of community-based finance, like in circular economy. All the community, the local community must be involved, which involves the powering local communities to take control of their financial resources and invest in their own sustainability and well-being. This might involve creating community investment funds, supporting local credit unions and cooperatives, or providing financial education and training to underserved communities.
Great.
One of the key principles of ReFi is this idea of internalizing externalities. So this is like 2 words, but it's very important. Internalize externalities. And which refers to the practice of incorporating the social and environmental costs of economic activity into financial decision making. So it's very important to have data to make good decisions. So ReFi also emphasized the importance of transparency and accountability in finance, particularly with regard to social and environmental impact. So we need to measure. And here, the technologies that we are looking for, like blockchain and Web3, are very, very important. In summary, ReFi is a holistic approach to finance that seeks to create a more sustainable and equitable economy by investing in these regenerative practice and systems.
Awesome.
To finalize and to link with ESG policies, ESG policies are designed to encourage companies and investors to take into account the impact of their activities on the environment, society, and corporate governance. So every business and projects now need to have these very, very well-defined, and in the long term, banks are going to ask for that when the projects and the startups are going to ask money for that. So this is a big issue.
Yeah.
To finalize, ReFi supports these goals of ESG policies by promoting sustainable and socially responsible investment practices. I can say also that by promoting transparency and accountability, ReFi ensures that investors have access to accurate information about the social and environmental performance. And as more companies and investors adopt ReFi principles, they can help to create a more sustainable and equitable economy that supports the achievement of ESG goals.
Great. Thank you, Susanna. I think you mentioned a lot of really important things already, because I also always think it's so great that we are using this as an incentive for people, to act better, to put the money there where it's actually needed, and also to measure the real impact in a transparent way. Maybe because you also mentioned transparency in blockchain, maybe Eric, why do we actually need blockchain in that use case? So in terms of circular economy, because I come from a very classical world where I met also or heard about circular economy, but there they didn't use blockchain. So why do you use blockchain maybe in your use case, and why do you think in general blockchain is a good ledger for that?
It's a great question. I think the main key with it is transparency is key, whether it's recycling, whether it's donating to charity, being able to follow that path and also have it to the point where it's immutable. So it can be edited or modified by an individual. All that data is recorded. So especially with us, when it comes to recycling, and we're tracking the provenance of those plastics from the point of collection all the way through the supply chain to the end pellet or flake, if you're following it along, it's one thing to have photos or QR codes of that process, but it's another thing when you can actually rely on AI sensors and other data points and vehicle fleet tracking, when all that plastic is being collected and brought to the facility, is tracked every step on the way, and it can't be manipulated because that data is being beamed up in real time. And it can, if it's edited by someone, you're going to see that, which is really important, because I think a big thing we're seeing, especially in the recycling space, is you're seeing a lot of greenwashing claims and sustainability claims that are proven to unfortunately not be true, and people don't trust that the things that they put in or recycle are truly being recycled. And this helps eliminate or break down that barrier of people being worried that, okay, if I put this here, it's not going to really make a difference. Well, we can help prove that it will.
Great. That's a really good points on that. Maybe also you mentioned greenwashing and stuff. I mean, we heard also in the news, or also Vera, for instance, was really often affected there. And there's also the first question from the chat. So maybe Daniel, you could answer that. Hopefully you heard about that, because I haven't heard about that yet. So the question is, what is your approach to the Vera plastic standard program? Are there any initiatives to tokenize plastic standard credits?
Yeah.
So maybe you heard about that.
Actually, we have heard about that, and we are creating our own standard to improve what is already there. So we are creating plastics methodology, our plastics protocol, and we are building plastic recovery guarantees, which is an improvement of the actual plastic credit. We are verifying that plastic is being recovered from the environment and is going to be recycled or used properly. So you cannot create a plastic recovery guarantee taking plastic from the environment and throw it into a landfill, which the typical plastic credit allow that. So we are taking some of the standards, we are improving it, and we are building something that we think is way better for the environment and for the whole ecosystem, because as we were saying before, Eric, trust is really important and has to be addressed like that. So yeah, we are aware, and we are building an improvement on what is already been there. So we aim to be the standard for plastic recovery.
Okay, then I chose the right person to answer this question, I guess. Great. It sounds that's super. Maybe also in that terms, back to you, Susanna. Do you also, because UCO stands for used cooked oil, right? So before I met you guys, I haven't heard about anything about used cooked oil. It's very unusual in my opinion, maybe because I'm not an expert in that field, but so do you also, so why use cooked oils, and do you also have something like standards like they create on the plastic side?
Yes, for us, sustainability is very important. So UCO networks use Web3 technology and blockchain to ensure that the entire process is environmentally sustainable. This is very important for us. So the conversion of used cooking oil to biofuel is a key component of the circular economy. So we work with this renewable energy source that is also very important in the circular economy. And UCO networks technology ensures that the production process of biodiesel is as sustainable as possible. So one of the main benefits of biodiesel as a renewable energy source is that it emits fewer greenhouse gas emissions than petroleum diesel. And it also helps to reduce dependence on fossil fuels, and it can be produced locally, which can help to stimulate local economies. So this is our core in sustainability. So be with the community to help them also to have an income. And I'm going to say, I don't know if you know the Plastic Bank project, but we wanted to create a similar situation near the communities, but for the cooking, the used cooking oil.
Super interesting. I think there's so much out there we haven't heard about that. So it's a really interesting use case. Maybe also because you also mentioned it, Daniel, and that's now the question back to Eric. Maybe let's talk about trust again, because I think it's the most crucial thing in the ESG market, I will say. How do you work on or do you have a strategy where you create trust with your brand? How you make sure that you're actually transparent? Because I feel like a lot of people are talking about that, but when you try to find out about the projects, it's getting really thin there. So yeah, maybe you can elaborate on that part.
Yeah, another great question. For us, it's about being really open and transparent with who we're working with. We're doing a lot of stuff with NatWest, the Royal Bank of Scotland at the moment, Aramco and the Cricket World Cup in Australia. And for us, when we engage directly with the consumer, we focus on starting to put our technology inside of reverse vending machines, which they're not new. They exist all over the world. And it's working with well-known manufacturers and Reborn and other brands where we put that in where the consumer can actually see the bottle go into the machine, get all the data on the screen, you can gamify it, you can reward it. And then inside of that machine, we all the sensors and tech that's picking up all the data, the location of when those containers were deposited or put in, and then they can follow it along the journey to the recycling plant. And then when it gets there, there's other players in the market, some fantastic ones. Just to name one of the ones that's probably pretty well known is Grey Parrot, which makes a fantastic artificial intelligence sensor, and you can see in real time. Think of it like the airport scanners when they scan your bag, and it's picking up all the individual shards, whether it's plastics, aluminum, glass, and other in real time. And there's some other brands like Tomra out there that are just doing fantastic things that have all the data points that we can collect from as well, and people can follow the journey and watch it if they really want to. And for us, that was the biggest thing, is making sure that it was much more than just a QR code or a photo, and actually being able to follow the journey. So that's what we've been working on in the background.
That's so great. And it's also great that you mentioned the vending machine, because I think mostly when we talk about blockchain, it's really hard for people to get because you can see it, you also can see carbon and stuff, but you can see actually plastic and you can actually see and touch vending machines. So and we all know that from our everyday life. And that's maybe one question also for Daniel. I'm just wondering, how's your onboarding process? Because I think it's really, there are a lot of challenges in terms of getting acceptance from people who has nothing, or who don't know anything about technology, especially this new one. So maybe you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, so from the point of view of people recovering plastic in the environment, they have to go through a process to be verified in our ecosystem. We apply our protocols and compliance to verify that they exist, that they are who they say they are, and we are running audits on the fields. We have been in Kenya recently to check what the recovery projects are doing, and we are verifying that the plastic is actually being taken from the environment and put it to the system again. So it's what is the other way around. So Eric is making sure that the customers are disposing the plastic properly. We are making sure that whatever has been disposed in the environment is going to be taken care of and is recovered and cleaned. In terms of working with these people, we are offering them a new source of revenue by selling the data of the activity that they are doing, and we verify that which type of plastic has been recovered, quantities, locations, data, different stakeholders. And we talking about trust again, we want to show transparency and show that plastic is really being recovered. And that's why we are creating content in social media showing the real people taking the plastic from the environment, and the recovery projects build their roadmap where you can see where the money is going to go and what they are going to be doing with that, hiring people, improving security, improving processes. And when a project is onboarding with us, they go through a different checkpoint, as I said, our compliance, and we have a score. And then we are scoring these projects, and depending on the score, they have to improve. And we have a mechanism in place to help them to improve the way they are working and to recover more plastics, basically. That was the question, or what was more about the users who are buying these recovery guarantees?
I mean, we can also talk about users, but actually we get a lot of questions in. So maybe also one question from Rosario to you, Daniel. He wants to know, you talked about a new plastic standard. Are you in conversations towards cooperation with Vera? I think it is really important to build that standard from cooperation.
We are building our own standard. We are talking to consultancies, brands. So we want to come out with a fresh protocol that is being new and doesn't have all it's not made by a company who, well, it has the story, there is the difficulties. We are coming here with a new, fresh air. No, we are building it ourselves with, obviously with help. So we are talking to science, we are talking to environmental people, with lawyers, with a lot of people, people that are working in the residual agencies. But yeah, we are creating our own standard.
I think that's also really interesting, because I think it's a good question, because when we are talking about standards, and that's what we're also as Particula noticing when we talk to so many token issuers, that everybody is building their own thing. And I think sometimes it's really, really helpful, like he said, also in cooperation. So maybe also you're working together with other plastic issuers, maybe also with Eric in future. It would be great to see you guys also work together. Maybe there are some alignments there. And yeah, but we have, yeah.
Web3 is all about cooperation. So in that space, open to work with everybody. And obviously, we are creating an ecosystem that we are going to bring to everybody, and everybody will be able to join eventually and become part of the ecosystem, improve. So we are creating something for everybody.
That's great. Awesome. So the next question, and I really hope I can explain it maybe to you, Eric. The person who asked the question is called Mando, and he asked, I see the reason behind tokenization to incentivize social behavior within a community. For instance, being compensated for recycling. But how do you see the issued tokens being bridged to the real economy? Do you something?
I think I can answer that. So it's another good question. I think from our standpoint, what we looked at in territories where deposit return schemes exist, or you pay a tax for a single-use plastic bottle and you get that fee back when you return it, it works quite well. And it's worked quite well in those territories for a long time. The problem is it doesn't help with all plastics, and it doesn't help with all territories around the world. And actually, with the recycled plastic industry, it's a $46.7 billion a year industry. But at the moment, that's reserved between the recyclers and then the upcyclers or manufacturers. So the consumers, which are actually the biggest culprit or demand driver for those plastics, don't typically get to participate, even though, say, any of us might be buying a bottle of water or a soft drink. You pay for that bottle, you consume the beverage, but then you don't realize that there's an intrinsic value that those recyclers or manufacturers will pay. And what we wanted to do is actually build that value in that's coming from that supply chain, because that demand and purchase price is there, and give more of that value back to the consumer. So what we've done is we issued a deflationary token. So we have 8.3 billion tokens in our ecosystem, which is in line with the total metric tons of plastic that existed when we started our business, and will reward in fractional increments as more plastic is entered into the recycling ecosystem that we're developing by working with other people, recyclers, off-takers, folks like Daniel, as well, that we could collaborate with to bring more and recycle, to hopefully recycle what's already in existence versus producing virgin materials. And that's where that intrinsic value can also come into the token economy as well.
Great. We have a talk about now a lot about tokenization and also your specific use cases. One thing we haven't talked about yet is the demand side, actually, because when we talk to, for instance, all the carbon issuers, there are many startups really struggling finding customers, clients who are willing to buy those tokenized carbon credits, for instance. I'm not sure how it is on the circular economy side. So maybe, Susanna, do you already have people who are interested? Do you already customers? And especially, who are the people who are buying, for instance, those UCO credits, if you can call it like that?
Okay. So I also would like to say a word about the last question, because UCO networks also have a token-based rewards system that incentivize individuals and businesses to participate in the circular economy. So the individuals could at home participate collecting the used cooking oil and be rewarded with tokens. We call UCOIL. And for instance, we would like to implement these systems for everybody could have these rewards. Of course, in some countries, in developing countries, this could have a more impact than in the Occident, that some kind of reward could not meet the expectations of the individuals, like in developing countries. And so this is very important for UCO network, and our token is UCOIL. And everybody, if wants to buy, is in one of the platforms. And So in conclusion, UCO network use of a blockchain and Web3 to offer these several benefits to the circular economy that includes tokenization and which everybody can trade and exchange in a secure, transparent, and decentralized manner. And this is to apply to the verified across the supply chain, making it easier to verify the origin, the quality, and the sustainability credentials of the product. For example, the token oil representing used cooking oil as a renewable resources could be used to verify that the material has been recycled and meets certain quality standards and can be traced back to its source. So this is very important for the individuals that want to know if the product they are using is sustainable. And with our technology, we can track and we can give this information.
Great, awesome. So it's interesting that you also that rewarding is like a thing you all have also a little bit in common in that. Maybe also there's one question from Javier. He's asking he's asking Daniel, what are the steps that a local initiative should follow to receive support from plastics?
Sure. Thanks for the question. In our website, we have a section where you can follow certain steps and fill some information we are asking to show that you are real, to show that you are doing what you say that you are doing. And then once you go through this process, my team is putting in contact with you, have a video call, and do some more verifications, and then you will be verified to become part of the ecosystem. And if you are not at that point, don't worry, we will help you get in there. Because what we want is to get as much community as possible to recover plastic. And then once you are inside the plastics ecosystems, you are able to create the plastic recovery guarantees. The plastic recovery guarantees is a digital certificate, an NFT, stating how much plastic has been recovered, because an invoice that has been generated when you are taking the plastic, you sort it out and you sell it to a transformer or a recycler to be converted to plastic again, or to use it properly. So this invoice is the invoice that you put into the platform. It turns into an NFT with a pretty image, and then this is what we are tokenizing and what people and companies can buy. When you are sponsoring plastic recovery, you are buying this piece of NFT, which is backed up by an invoice stating that plastic has been recovered. This is when somebody is supporting the money, 80% goes straight to the recovery projects. That's why a blockchain is good for. You can really see that your money goes to support these people, the people who are recovering the plastic, and you can see you are building up your sustainability dashboard, and you can see what's your impact in the environment and where you are helping to recover plastic with, and which is the people you are helping with, and the recovery projects are getting the plastic token as a reward, obviously, and we do 1 kilo, $1.
Exciting, awesome. So that's a lot what you guys doing, and it's really, I think it's really complex actually when you're like thinking about that all processes which has to happen that it is actually working. And I'm also maybe for you, Eric, again, because I already asked Susanna, but I'm always interested to hear from everybody. How is your demand side looking like? So do you already have customers, and who are the people who buying SERPs? I think that's the token's name. Yeah, maybe you can say something about that.
No, it's a good question. Yeah, so we have quite a big demand side, but from us, what we've been focused on the ecosystem and rollout. So primarily with sovereign governments that we were speaking to, recyclers, waste off-takers, and the manufacturers. So we're doing a lot of stuff in the Middle East at the moment, in the UAE, some of the big recyclers there. Similarly, we have some good government connections in the States and the UK. So just putting in the tech, doing pilot programs and rollouts. We were doing a big test in Australia at the International Cricket Council with all the cricket games, the stadiums, and putting the tech in to see how we could also process plastics without barcodes or labels. So specifically like beer cups or wine cups that are used in a stadium in a high footfall concentrated area, which was definitely an interesting challenge to go through. We've done that. And then these are the companies and brands that are then buying or integrating the tech and signing these agreements to roll out the distribution of the tokens to end users or customers. And then the next stage for us is working with our advertising partners to release our consumer-facing wallets and apps so consumers can start to earn the tokens by recycling at the various collection points.
Great. It's so impressive what you're doing, that you're also like even in Australia and already like working together. And I think also when you think about the big events, and we all have been to sport events or even conferences, and I think there are many events who has a lot, they have a lot to do there on this part, because I always I met you guys on the in Barcelona on the European Blockchain Convention, and there were all cups, and everybody was using a cup, taking coffee, throwing the cup away, taking another cup, taking orange juice, drinking, throwing away, and that's like for 3 days or something. And I already felt there would be great if there would be some reusable solution there, or I don't know, some recycling there. But great approach, I think. There's somebody who I missed with a question, and she wrote again in. Her name is Rosario, and she actually has a question to Susanna. And she said, as Susanna said, it is crucial to incorporate research and development into new materials to not only collect plastic from the environment and close the loop, but also make it smaller. What is your approach in this regard? So I'm not sure if I understand the question right, but maybe do you have thoughts on that? Or should I
repeat the question?
Yeah.
I'm a little, because
so
you
it is
about plastic.
Because you mentioned it probably, and new materials like used cooked oil is also just a material like plastic. Yeah. So maybe the person can write again in the chat what exactly she means, or does anybody else?
I guess they mean. I guess they mean using new materials instead of plastic. The usage of materials that maybe are organic and are different than plastic.
So I'm going to try to give you an answer. So biodiesel is renewable energy, okay? And in our case, in our startup, we wanted to have this organic material, so used cooking oil is a vegetable oil used, and we wanted to collect this material that is renewable, and to put in the supply chain to the production factories of biodiesel, could make this fuel that could minimize the impact on environment. So this mechanism could be improved with these technologies, blockchain and Web3, and all the benefits that we are trying to concretize in the market with all the stakeholders. So to implement this resource, this organic material, to put again in the supply chain, we need to have a cooperation with every stakeholders, and is a big project. But we are very passionate about this, because is a renewable energy source, and we have everything very well we think in a circular economy way that will generate new business models, and also impact in society, creating new jobs. And it's very, very important for circular economy. So I don't know if I answered the question, but if you need to rephrase again, please.
If not, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're also reachable on social media, on LinkedIn, and she can write you, right? And then you can maybe have a chat about that more. Yeah. When I look at the time, we only have 5 minutes left, so I would say we start with the wrap up. And I have one final question to all of you, and maybe to start with you, Eric. What is the outlook, in your opinion, in terms of circular economy? What do you expect in future will happen? What role will blockchain play in that? And yeah, maybe you already have an opinion about that.
No, I think it's definitely moving forward quite quickly, and I think you're seeing a lot of companies and innovation in the space. I mean, even as we see on this call with some of these innovative solutions that are here, and same that we saw in Barcelona. And I think we're going to see more and more innovation, both from the blockchain space, from a hardware space. I mean, obviously, we're seeing the massive emergence of AI and all the things coming out now there, which I think is really helpful, especially when you integrate the sensors and tech into these blockchain solutions. It just adds even better data that gets put in. And I think the collaboration between people is going to be important. And we're seeing governments and regulation and policies come into place where it's actually taking the forefront for a lot of organizations, where it's not so much, hey, I have to do this, or I have to clean up or do something good, where they actually have, chief sustainability officers and whole sustainability teams that are focusing on regenerative ways for the business to operate, and not just taking from the economy, but also giving back.
Great. Yeah. Susanna, what is your thoughts on the market?
I agree with Eric. I think Eric have made a great summary, but I will say also that we need to develop clear regulatory frameworks, and the regulators should work with blockchain and Web3 communities to develop clear and consistent regulatory frameworks that enable innovation while also protecting consumers. Because circular economy is already in the mind of consumers, but blockchain and Web3 and tokenization is not so clear, and linking the terms with circular economy also is a big issue. And I think governments and politicians and every stakeholders that have power need to be involved in this matter, and need to focus more on the benefits of blockchain and Web3, and not on some kind of negative things that technologies have, every technologies have. And because these new technologies are so good for circular economy, for new models that are going to appear, and we need these regulatory frameworks. Otherwise, it's going to be a Far West if we don't have this, in my opinion.
Great. Awesome. So maybe Daniel, the last famous words.
I'll be quick. I think that having regulation helps, obviously, but what is even better is to create a framework and business model where the economy gets incentivized. I mean, in our case, we link the plastic recovery with selling products. We are partnering with a beer company, for instance. Anytime you drink a beer, plastic is recovered from the environment. And we are generating also a framework where people can also be encouraged and incentivized. So companies are engaging with their consumers in a more sustainable way. They do what they have been doing. People need to consume products, some of them. Obviously, companies are going to are there producing. So if we link all these regenerative in this ecosystem, we don't have to fight that much against the trend. We have to create symbiosis with the current market. I would say being disruptive is nice, is good. It's really difficult. But when people get encouraged and they see the purpose, it's way easier that everybody participates.
Great. Guys, it's exactly the time. It's like perfect. It's 45. So thank you so much to my panelists here. It was a lovely talk. It was so great to get all those insights because I'm also pretty new in terms of circular economy, and it was great to hear more about your great endeavors and what you're doing. I think is really important and crucial for our future. And I mean, we see the development right now. You see the news. It's really bad, and I think it's always good to also hear positive developments. And yeah, thank you again for participating. Also, thank you for the viewers. I hope you liked our first panel. We will do that more regularly now, and next time we have a different use case. So tune in. It will be again really interesting. And of course, if you still have questions or anything, write us. We are all having LinkedIn. I think they are all happy to answer your questions and help you. And yeah, I wish you all a great evening or a morning or wherever you all are, and see you soon. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.